Would you? Sorry about that.
Sure. Good evening, folks. It's June 10th, 2021. This is the Preservation Committee meeting of Community Board 7. It's now 6:32 p.m. My name is Michelle Parker. I am a co-chair of the committee with the lovely Kay Carpin. Would you raise your hand? Thank you.
Hello, hello.
Let's have everybody on the Preservation Committee introduce themselves or wave their hand. Josh, you're here. Josh Cohen. We have Madge Rosenberg, Paige Cowley, Peter Sampton, Sue Schwartz, Mark Diller, and I think that's everybody from the committee. Josh, that's everybody from the committee. Yes, we have non-committee board members. We have Ira Michnek. Would you wait? We have Doug Kleinman, who is also our VP. We have Miranda Goodwin-Robb, who is a new member, and welcome. And who else do we have from the board? I don't see anybody else. Sue, I introduced you. Sue Schwartz, I introduced you. Okay. The format tonight will be as such, if you don't mind. The applicant will make their presentation. There will be then questions by the committee, then questions by non-committee board members, then questions by the public. Then we'll close the application and the Preservation Committee will talk about formulating a resolution, and then we'll vote on the resolution. Committee members first and then non-committee board members. Who is going to take the minutes this evening? Madge,
Madge said she would start, and then somebody needs to take over.
Okay, so Madge, you're going to start? Yeah.
She's muted, but she said she nodded.
And Paige, yeah, where's Paige? Hi, will you be on board to write the resolutions for this meeting?
When do you want them?
Well, that's a very good question.
Yesterday.
The resolution for the application for 333 Central Park West is going to be heard at LPC next Tuesday, the 15th. Am I right? I mean, that's what it says on the, that's what an email I got. So that one's important.
Okay, why don't we do this offline with you and Kay? Let's do the priority because it's busy time, and I want to make sure that I can do justice and do the right resolution. So let's talk maybe tomorrow, and let's get the sequence, and I'll make sure that I can get it to you within days before. Okay. All right, but it's good to know that 333 is the first.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's it's not the first one to be heard tonight.
No, but it's
First one we need.
Next week. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
So Michelle and Kay, I'm going to interrupt for just one quick second to let you know that Michelle Booker has joined us. And I think she's on a phone or something. So anyway, as you wish, but I want to make sure you knew that she was here.
Yeah, I see her. Does she want to talk? Does she want to say anything? Can you tell, Mark?
It looks like she's running.
Michelle is unmuted, so we should be able to hear her.
Looks like she's running, yeah. Michelle, did you want to say anything to us?
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. My apologies for, I was trying to get on via my cell phone and I was having some glitches. So thank you for your patience. I just wanted to say hello and meet everyone at the Preservation Committee. And I look forward to learning all the initiatives and what you are working on and what's impacting the district. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Michelle Booker, for everybody else is our new district manager. Yay. Looking forward.
So,
all right, so thank you. Let's dive into this. The first application is 260 West End Avenue at West 76th Street. The application is for a window master plan. Okay, this is Mr. Marino.
Yes, hi,
All right.
Bob Marino from Skyline Windows. So I've never done this before, so I've did it live, but I've never done this. So
Okay,
tell me what I have. You want me to share my screen or something? Or
yes,
what am I?
we need you to share your screen
Okay, so let me
and
see.
talk to us about what you're gonna do.
Okay. So let's see.
And
Okay.
Madge, you saw this venue, right? You're still muted, Madge. You can unmute if you want.
You want me to say anything about what I saw?
Yeah, why don't you?
Oh, it's a brick building and it has 1/1, which I assume are replacement windows. There are lintels under the windows and there's a little decoration on the first few floors and in the middle of the building, but otherwise it's fairly simple. And it sounds like what they're replacing it with, it's going to look very much like what is there right now.
All right, thank you. Okay,
And
Mr.
actually-
Marino.
Okay, so the board. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. Can you see my screen? I don't know.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the letter that we sent to you guys about, what the building wants. The building wanted us to put together a master plan. The windows were changed, I believe, in the 80s. They're all old, inefficient, and some in disrepair. And they're looking to upgrade with the times, but they are looking for 1/1, which is what they have in the replacement anyway. So that's my letter there. And then this is, so this is what we sent to Landmarks and to you as well. So this is the map of the location over here. This is where the building is in the West End Collegiate District. This is an aerial view of the building on the corner of 72nd and West End. And if I'm going too fast or too slow, just nudge me. Thank
This
you.
is the southeast corner.
Yes. Okay, so this is a tax photo of the building over here. Here, sorry. From 1940. Here's another, this is a photo showing from West End Avenue. This is the building here on the right. Because I had to get two because the view is not so good from just a straight on tax photo. And then this is from the 80s, tax photo. It's a better view from 72nd and West End. This is present day, kind of looks the same, except the bridging, which is everywhere in New York. And then here's our elevation drawings. This is one of the primary facades, this is the west facade.
Wow.
And then here's the other facade is the north facade, which is another primary. They have two. And then these are this is ones that's in the rear to east, non-visible. I wasn't sure if I should have included all of these or not, but they're included. Same with the south. They're not visible from the street. These are the window types that we're looking to put in. So this is A, B, C. Here's the existing at the top, and then the proposed are below. So they're basically all as they are now.
Yeah, it's the same, right?
Yes, sir. And then we have two more types. These are the double windows, and these are the triple windows. Some of these are in the rear, some are in the front. We call them out. And then there's more. I forgot there's more. So some of these in the back here are lot line windows. Those are fire rated windows. And then here's our details of the way back when the existing wood box with the head and the sill and the jambs over here. And then this is a mullion detail of original mullion detail. And then here's our proposed sections. We're using our Series 100 window that we manufacture in Teterboro, New Jersey. We've passed many Landmarks, criteria with it. This is our brick mold, which we believe is pretty close to what the original brick mold is. Over here too at the jam. We propose to do it within frame as departments are all some occupied, and brick to brick would be pretty obtrusive to everybody. Here's our mullion detail. With this decorative here. There are lot line windows there, so the lot lines have to be installed brick to brick in order to meet code. So this is the section of a proposed lot line window, which are on the south facade by the entrance, by the service entrance, which shows up in a photo. These are photos of the primary facades with each of the window types, marked as per the elevations we had. This is the north facade, same thing. So you do see. Now we're in the rear. This is all back in the courtyard. So none of this is visible from the street. So these are the lot line windows I was talking about. These are right over the service entrance on the corner of West End. It's this right here. These are all steel. They're supposed to be fire rated windows because of the proximity to this building right here. So I found a window in the back that was an original window.
This is from the 80s?
No,
Before that?
yes,
40s.
this looks like an original window to me.
Okay.
It's a wood window.
Yeah.
It's some kind of venting in it or something, I don't know. And then there's a close-up of the brick mold, which we feel that our sculpted paneling will closely replicate this. So it'll be protective of what's underneath. Here's our application. You wanted the application? I don't know, but it's in here.
Mhm.
Okay.
And that's all I have.
All right. Do we have any questions from the committee?
Mark has a question.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Peter.
What is the difference in measurement between the existing jam and the new jam?
Well, okay, so the difference, there is no difference between the windows that are replaced now. That 99% of the windows in the building have been replaced. And the new windows that we would install would be within tolerance of basically the same, or maybe a little less even, but they're the same as what's there now, the existing windows. Trying to find them.
Oh, there's no difference.
No, sir.
Uh-huh.
So you said 99% of the windows were replaced, and that means in the 80s.
Yes.
Okay.
I guess a lot of times at these buildings, they just, they reach out to somebody and then they do the whole window, soup to nuts, the whole building from soup to nuts.
Have you replaced any of the windows yet?
No, I haven't done a thing at this building yet.
Okay.
They asked, they just asked me to put something together. I had done one for, not in your district, but 535 West 110th Street, same kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
So basically what they're looking to do is they're just looking to have it upgraded energy-wise, being more green but yet keeping the same look that they have. The configurations would all be the same. Like this triple window would be the larger center with the smaller sides. It would be all the same as per what's there now.
And so I'm sorry, Mark has a question.
And then Paige.
Okay.
Thank you. So I'm just doing my usual head scratching about why this is not approved at staff level. And I'm wondering whether the original window configuration was multiple or divided light or some other arrangement than what we see now. Because usually when something is being replaced exactly in kind, it can be approved at staff level. So can you speak to what was there before the replacement windows were put in the 1980s? And is that why we're seeing it?
Yes, based on the tax photos, which are, to me, almost impossible to look at. I'm trying to get to them now. apparently they had muttons, they had divided lights at one point. Let's see if I can find it.
Very nice.
Yeah. It's, wait a minute, let me see, find this one here.
It's,
I mean, this is the building. It's like impossible to see anything. That's, you know, but they had divided lights, definitely, which is also, I thought it was my understanding that anytime you want a master plan, that you have to go to a public hearing. Am I incorrect on that?
Mark, we can't hear you.
Me?
I'm not sure, but certainly when there's divided light being proposed to be replaced with whole pane
Right.
windows, they definitely send it to a public hearing, even if there aren't any existing evidence of that still on the building, which appears to be the case here.
Well, the case is that this is what we have is all replacement windows from the 8 at one point, aluminum replacements, yes. And the building doesn't want to do that, because there would be a hodgepodge of here, there, and everywhere. If 3 apartments decided to change windows, and they'd have to be 6/6 or 8/8 or whatever. That's what they don't want.
I think LPC likes to see master plans.
Yes, they do.
Paige, you had a question? Did we lose her?
Yep, I have a few actually, and just interrupt me or stop me whenever. You showed the chronology and the documentation, but you looked at the only surviving wood window, but didn't show us the documentation of the existing aluminum. Because in the old days, as you know, I'm an architect, I confess up front, that sometimes the old brick mold or the window box for the sash weights were left in place. So I'm just curious as to how much of the evisceration of the 1980s window actually took place. And in my experience, they tend to be a bit hit and miss. So can you elaborate on that?
As far as what the brick mold is underneath, you mean, okay, are you asking me, did we remove the panning or capping from an existing window?
Correct.
No. No, we didn't. No, we didn't. And that's a good question.
Would it be terrible if we made a recommendation that is part of your work as you,
No.
that you document what you find?
No, it wouldn't be terrible. It wouldn't be terrible at all. It sounds like it's a wise call to do that. I wouldn't argue with you on that. I think that it's the reason we did is because we found an original one and we took the detail from that. But as to what's underneath is what your question is, you're right. I don't have that answer. But that's why we were going to remove the window and use the panning that we feel best serves the building, because it's pretty close to the original brick mold.
Well, my second question relates to that, because on the type A wood window that is at the back, the actual brick mold comes down in front of the ledge of the window. Not it meets the terracotta or brick or whatever the substrate is for the windowsill itself. And so I think that's an important detail, and it does have a curved, I couldn't see it. This is my first time looking at your project. Okay. So I apologize, but okay. If you look at the way, because what I'm concerned about is that this is a very contemporary window appearance, and there's no hearkening back to what was there, if you see what I mean. Now, this one you have, it's a shame I can't point. I'm concerned because for 2 reasons. The way this is shown now, the angle at which the old window box was attached is only filled by mortar or caulk around the edge of the window. And the original detail on the wood window shows that crevice being covered by part of the original decorative mullion that conceals that. So it's a good weather protection. So I'm a little concerned about that. And also the shape of the brick mold that you're showing right now. Oh, those are the existing ones. Is this a hybrid where the box is wood and the existing 1980s windows were just fitted to that?
All of these windows were installed over the master frame, the master wood frame. All of them were, and then they did like a capping over it, which is no shape. So we have a couple of panning details of OG and Colonial that we use that are this one we're using Colonial. Here's an example of here what we're talking about doing. You can see in the upper left or over here. We feel it mirrors it. Rep goes right with it, we think.
My concern is that I'm not sure you've done enough homework to actually determine what that curve was, because it's not always an outward dowel. Sometimes they're recessed. So I would feel more comfortable if depending on how our discussion goes, that that your program establishes verification of exactly what is historically remaining,
Right.
that you can replicate in aluminum.
Okay, so what we did was when we went to measure some of these windows, like we said, we did not rip off any of the capping, but we did. My head engineer did detail the window, and that was the detail that he used, that he drew, which is based on what's there in that little window the one window that's exposed. That's what his drawing was. Did I do that? No, I didn't do that. I'm not a good drawer. I'm not a good artist. So.
Okay, and my last questions are much easier. Thank
you.
Are you using thermopane windows?
Oh yeah, we're using our windows, which are the thermally broken windows. They have insulated glass. It's a low E glass. It's environment. It's very good window.
So that the only tint is the low E, so you're not using any funny things.
No.
Okay, and I think the only concern I have, and I'm echoing what Mark Pillar said, I'm concerned because when I look at these, I tried to blow up your presentation while you were speaking on the enlargement of that facade. And it does look like the upper windows are different than the ones below where the brick is. And I'm guessing that the Landmarks Commission, I did not, my fault, I did not read the designation report, but I'm questioning because of the way these beautiful apartment buildings were configured. They did tricky, beautiful decorative tops. And it's possible that the windows on the top 2 or 3 floors, as Mark has identified them, were different. And I'm not completely in alignment with your thinking that these were all the same.
There wouldn't be a separate designation report.
No,
Right.
but in the designation report or in their archive, and you can look at other, besides tax map photographs, the collection of buildings for the WEPS, for the West End Preservation Society and Landmark West, has a lot more information than just the tax map photos. They go to the city record and they look at the pictures that were there. So I'm concerned, you might be able to get a vote out of me positively for the windows within the brick area, but not necessarily for the top.
That obviously happens at times where there's certain parts of the building where they designate to be more historical looking windows. That's happened. Wouldn't be the first time.
Okay, that's it for the moment.
Thank you, Kay.
I guess my question had been, do you know if the building is anticipating changing all the windows at once, or is this a plan?
No, it's going to be they want us to put together what we call a group, because the building is not paying, they're not doing it as an assessment.
Okay.
Each individual owner.
Each individual owner
would
as
pay for
they
it, which is
upgrade.
typical. It's very typical.
Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else on the committee have a question? Okay, how about board members, non-committee board members? Ira, is he still here? Let's see.
We take a vote?
Doug, any questions? Ira? Miranda? No?
Oh, I don't have it.
Anybody from the public, Michelle? Probably not.
Yeah, who? Yeah. Public members, any questions?
They would need to raise their hands to ask one, so look for your raise hand function on your participants button.
Okay, I don't see anybody. Mark, can you confirm that? Is nobody from the public?
I see no hands raised.
Okay, Michelle Booker, any questions? Okay, I'd like to propose that that we resolve to
No,
accept.
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, Michelle.
I would like to propose that the resolution
You approve.
is accepted as proposed, but I want to add Paige's recommendation, but I just don't know how to word that. So can you help us out, Paige, what your recommendation was?
Am I
Approve
still
with the
live?
recommendation. That's what I'm.
I have to, well, I'm conflicted because my initial reaction is not to support this proposal until it's reviewed again, because the panning is very deep and wide over all of the existing wood. And I'm concerned that there's not enough information about the changes in the window itself. I would be happier if they would, be directed to other archives that might have information and return to us, since this is not going to be a one-shot deal. It's going to be over time. I would want to make sure that we're doing the right thing, is that they come back, having tried to locate the different mullion types that existed in that building, so we get a better sense, and also a better sense of what is actually underneath the panning, because you did show, I'm sorry, your name again was?
It's Robert Marino.
Robert?
Yes.
You did show some details, and you have taken great care. There's no question there. But my concern is that the panning that you're proposing is a much bigger scale than what was originally intended for this.
Are you saying because of the way it bows out over it?
Yes,
Like gap?
yes.
Because that's something that we could definitely tighten up. There's no doubt of that.
I'm sure you can, but I'd like to know exactly what, there must be a basement window or something that you can take apart to actually measure the existing wood window.
This window that's on my screen is the one that he detailed.
Yes,
This one
but
that
I don't want to take the whole committee time. I
Okay.
think
okay.
my recommendation would be that we would approve this if you came back with more details about what the window is.
Okay.
And I can make myself available. I can give you the numbers of people who probably have this information, just to make sure that since this is going to be a multi-year project, that you get it right.
Gotcha.
All right, that it's very important, because nobody wants to be surprised and go, oops, look, there's the original later
Okay.
on. Okay, I'm on your side. I think it's great that you're doing this work. Congratulations to Skyline, but I think we need a few more details, and that's what I would put, Michelle, in my recommendation, in better English and more succinct.
Okay,
It's-
so Robert, when is this application going before LPC?
Next month, I think, I have to check. I think the middle of July, maybe, something on that. I think it's the middle of July. I can check and confirm it. Maybe I can do it right this second. Hold on. Let me see.
So the resolution would read, help me out, Mark, approve with the recommendations.
Well, it's a little, well, first of all, I have the same conflict with that Paige does, because I'm not sure I can support this, because I don't think a good enough case has been made for the elimination of the divided light. That's my constant bugaboo with these things.
That was her,
the-
that was her objection. Excuse me, Mark, I don't
Well,
think that was Vicky's objection.
I understood Paige's objection to be that the brick molding and framing of the windows, there's
Yeah.
better terms that I don't know, that it doesn't reflect appropriately the shaping of the molds that surround the window frame. So there's the
Right.
window frame itself, and that's my objection. And then, and maybe Paige shares that, I don't know. But Paige was talking about the shape of that even if you were okay with 1/1 instead of divided light, that there's an attempt to match detail that is not, that we can't gauge at this point as whether it matches it closely enough. Do I have that right, Paige? I'm sorry to be
Yes.
paraphrasing terribly. You're
No,
staying right there.
I think this needs to have a little bit more work on the details and verification of what was there before. And mid-July, the Preservation Committee meetings, I believe, are usually the first week or 10 days in. We might be able to do,
Gonna be the 8th. What? Yeah, is that the 8th?
so that would be July 8th.
You're right.
And if you let the Landmarks Commission know that you're coming back to us, we will guide you and give you resources through Michelle, who's our new, yay, district manager. And she can direct you to places where I think you're gonna find better information.
So this is
Okay.
really a resolution to deny the application pending the recommendations.
Well, what do we
and-
bring to the-
Deny. I wouldn't say deny. I would say that we've heard their resolution, we have comments, and we invite them to come back so we can give them a final answer and vote on July 8th.
So what do we bring to a full board on the 6th, I guess is my question.
Nothing.
That's the problem is, well, right, but the applicant would have to agree to come back to the committee in July. If the applicant didn't do that, then Kay is correct that we would need to take some action. Otherwise, the
Yeah.
meeting would go forward, public hearing would go forward in July, and we would be silent when obviously we have an opinion.
Well, that would be your policy decision. I'm the detail lady. So, I follow the process, but if Robert would agree to come back, then we don't have a sort of a low grade, first low grade. He can come back with more information and satisfy us that he's done his homework. We can give him an approval in July.
Can I share something else with you right now?
Sure.
Do you see what I did? I don't know if you see what I have on the screen. Do you see
No.
this
No,
bulkhead?
we stopped, you have to share your screen again.
Okay, sorry. All right, hold on. Hit share screen. Okay. There. Okay. So these are Bob's. Do you see this pad, this notepad here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, these are Bob's details. Right there, which I guess I could have included for you. Maybe that would have made it more simple. But those are his details. They look pretty precise to me.
Yes, but unfortunately, aluminum doesn't behave the same way as.
No, I know, but this is what I'm saying is he took the existing little type A window and drew this. This is it. That's what he drew.
But
Right.
Okay,
that's good. That's a start, but
Well,
is that the same detail for every single window type on two sides of the building?
I guess I would have to try something on the other side of the building, I guess,
Correct.
to see.
So
Okay.
I think you need a
I got
little,
you.
okay?
I got you.
I want you to be a success, and in the 20 years it's going to take you to get this thing done, I want them all to be perfect.
Hey, so did my mother want me to be a success, you know?
There you go.
There you go.
You must be
Have your
very
mother
happy.
call me.
I think for purposes of full board, though, we have to take a vote on the resolution. We have to have a resolution and vote on it. And then we can also say that the applicant agrees to come back to us on the 8th of July.
Could have a resolution that is proving pending, a return with these details and on the 8th. I mean, that would be my suggestion.
From a
Yes, the
process
last thing
standpoint,
Mark, I think you would agree, the last thing we want is to deny the application. We'd like to work with this applicant and make sure that they can come back and be successful. I don't know why, in the past, we've never voted down things that we needed to see again.
Okay,
It's your call.
so from a process standpoint, as opposed to an artistic standpoint, we either need an agreement that they're coming back, or we need to take an action that would fill the gap if, for whatever reason, the applicant doesn't come back, because Robert's here as the expert and the consultant, but he's not the client, and it's a client decision. I guess the thing that's to do would be to either to have a resolution, whether to approve or disapprove. And I take Paige's point that we would want to approve, but we would have a fairly serious condition, and that condition is that the brick molds, and help me with the correct language terminology, Paige, but the brick molds conform as exactly as humanly possible to the historic fabric that was in place prior to the 1980 replacement windows. Is that language getting at it? You're getting close to it?
Yeah, I would elaborate on that only because there's so much panning already. When you've got an aluminum window that you're trying to follow with another aluminum window, you don't know what's underneath. And I think,
Okay.
you see what I mean? I'm nervous.
Wait, the aluminum window is over the wood window. The aluminum window would come out and the capping would come out, and then we would cover the existing wood that's under there.
Yeah, but we haven't seen that. You've got one detail in one location,
Okay,
and this is two sides
I
with
got you.
a special top.
Okay,
So I'm giving you every benefit of the doubt that
got
you're
you.
gonna be perfect if you come back and do some more
Got you.
digging.
Now
That's
you
all.
now you sounded more like my mother again.
There you go. I'm way too young to be your mother.
Of course you are.
No.
Go to,
Of course you are. I know that. I'm just teasing.
okay.
so the resolution is to approve the application with the recommendation
No, a
that
condition.
No,
the
I
condition,
wouldn't do that because then they won't come back. If it's an approval, it has to be a denial until they come back and give us the information we need to make an accurate vote. And I won't say any more.
Excuse me, but I agree with Paige on that. But I have a question. Would it be a problem to delay the LPC hearing, Robert?
It would be a problem for my clients in the building. It would be a big problem because it's been going on for some time. We got slowed down by the pandemic, and they're very, they paid money for us to do this. So I would say, yes, our hearing is July 20th.
20th.
So here's
It's
another
plenty
idea
of
for the,
time.
Mark,
so here's an idea for the,
Yeah, let's try
Here's
to
an-
wrap this up.
so
Mark,
Michelle and Kay, but if I may, one thing that you could agree to do is to ask them to come back on July 8th, which is before the 20th, right? And then we would agree that whatever resolution comes out of committee, we would not require a full board vote on that. We would agree to go to, so they could keep their reservation for a public hearing, and CB7 will be heard based on a committee resolution, which dilutes the impact of what we say a little bit, but that would be a way to have our cake and eat it too. We would get the second
I
look.
think that's a good idea.
I would support that
Paige is
because it's
suggesting.
unlikely that the full board would want to go into this far into the details and the weeds on such a thing, or have the, So I think that would, I'm comfortable.
So we get to see it again, and they get to keep their reservation. So is that, Robert, is that
Sure, that
something that
works.
can work for you?
That work, as long as you tell me that I can come and I could be first, I'm fine with it.
Wow, you were first this time. I don't know.
I know, I appreciate that, but the point I'm making is that I don't know what time, you guys go all night, don't you?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
try to.
Tonight
We generally go south to north, and you're pretty far south.
Okay, so say that again, Mark, what we're gonna vote on?
So we're not going to vote on anything.
Right.
We're going to invite the applicant to come back for the July meeting. If the applicant doesn't come back at the July meeting, we will take a committee vote at that time, based on whatever it is we know from tonight and if anything further comes our way. And that we would agree not to insist upon a full board vote because alas, the next full board after July is Labor Day. So that's a long time to ask them to wait. And as Kay, I think correctly pointed out, it's unlikely that this is the kind of detail that our full board colleagues would be interested in engaging in. That's what they have us for.
Okay, and with that said, I will take a vote of the committee.
There's
Peter,
no vote to take. I'm sorry.
yeah,
There's no vote to take. You're simply tabling this application until the
being
July
tabled.
meeting, at which point we will take a vote whether, and if they come back, we take a
Got it.
vote on what they tell us in July.
Got it.
If they
If
don't
not-
come back, we take a vote on what we heard tonight.
got it.
And you don't want, and you wouldn't want me to send you anything ahead of time, right? You just
Not
want.
yet,
Oh,
not yet.
please.
We need to send you the
You send
contact
me.
information so that you can find out for
Okay,
yourselves what the details are missing. And
Okay.
that would go to Michelle Booker
okay,
at our office,
okay.
right?
You send me, I'll wait to hear from you. In the meantime, I will schedule a meeting at the building and we'll go and we'll pull panning, we'll find somewhere we can pull panning off and see what it looks like on the other side.
Okay,
That's what you want, right? So that a window that's
Yes.
covered.
right.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you
okay,
very
okay.
much.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mr. Marino.
Thanks a
Nice
lot.
meeting you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Right, thank you.
Okay.
Keep up the good work.
I got lost here, hold on.
All right, so I'm
3:22.
gonna have to ditch because this is a meeting that I was originally not gonna be able to make at all.
Right,
So I
thank you.
apologize to everybody. I'm gonna transfer hosting so Kay and Michelle are co-hosts. Susan, can I transfer hosting to you since you know how to do it?
Yeah, would you do that, Susan? Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm gonna leave my computer up with my screen dark, just in case
Okay.
that does something bad for all of you guys when I leave, okay?
Thank
So,
you.
Yeah.
Bon
I'm
appetit.
sorry.
Thank you for joining
Thanks
us.
so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we have number 2, 322 West 72nd Street. This is for window replacements. Building between West End and Riverside. This is also a building that you saw, Madge?
Yes, another brick building, I'm guessing from the same era, has double hung windows now, less detail than the West End Avenue building, just a very little bit on it, mostly on the top. And they're asking for turning windows, not double hungs.
Who is here for the applicant, for the application, I mean? Susan, can you tell?
No, I can't, Michelle. Can you tell me the
I
name?
see Charlie Brown with a raised hand.
Okay.
Brown. Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
Where are you?
Promoting him.
Okay, thank you.
So
Okay,
Charlie
Mr.
has been
Brown.
Promoted to,
Okay, Charlie is promoted.
and I've has asked to unmute.
Unmute.
Unmute. Okay.
Okay, great.
And if you tell me who else, I'll promote them.
Hi, good evening.
Hi. Do you have somebody else on your team tonight, Mr. Brown?
Yes, I have the owner, Richard Terciano.
Okay.
Okay. And who else? Anyone else?
Oh, that's it.
Okay, great.
Great. Okay. Okay, Mr. Brown, the floor is yours and you can start sharing your screen with us. Tell us a little bit about the building and what you want to do and how you're going to do it.
Okay, so our project is located at 322 West 72nd Street within the West End Collegiate District. Is shown here. The designated map, satellite photo, and tax map. You can see the building is located in yellow, as marked on the map. We're proposing today the replacement of the existing double hung windows at the main facade at the 11th floor apartment, 11B. Here we're showing the building footprint, the apartment location, and the window location. Here we're showing the tax photo of the existing condition of the building. From the designation report, the main significant features of the building are the tripartite vertical configuration, the masonry base shown here, the entry with the triple windows, which is shown here. The entry with the triple windows, the masonry base, the materials such as brick, red brick, and terracotta sills. And at the very top, we have these triangular pendants at the very top at the penthouse apartment. The existing condition we have at this building at the 9th floor, we have these single pane windows at the 9th floor apartment. Our apartment is at the 11th floor with the double hung, and we want to do the same configuration at the 11th floor. We want to change our windows from double hung to single pane windows. We could see similar condition at the adjacent building, 330 West 72nd Street, where you have random single pane windows in relation to the 322 West 72nd Street building. I did a few research and we found a similar condition within the district at 5 Riverside Drive, not too far away from 72nd Street. We can see this similar condition of having single pane windows. At 55 Riverside Drive, similar condition, designated building with these single pane windows. At 52 Riverside Drive, similar condition. At 243 West 70th Street, similar condition. At 240 West 73rd Street, similar condition. And also at 239 West 77th Street, similar condition. As well as 235 West End Avenue, similar condition. Here we're showing the floor plan of the existing apartment and our window location. We plan to replace the windows with the same finish as bronze, brick to brick. The windows manufacturer is Crystal Series 900. Here we're showing the work areas within the apartment, A through D, the existing double hung windows from the interior. E through F, the existing windows from the interior. Partial facade showing the double hung windows and the proposed tilt and turn. We also showing the insulation guide and sectional details.
Okay, what time?
7:30 to 11:30.
Susan, we can hear you. I'm sorry, Mr. Brown.
Okay. I'm just gonna go back to the main facade. Looking closely at the facade, we can see at the 9th floor, we have the single pane windows, and also at the very top, the penthouse, we have the single pane windows. So we believe our proposal doesn't hinder the significant features of the building. These windows provide a wide range of benefits. They're easier to clean, better ventilation, better thermal barrier, and thermal performance. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from the committee?
Peter goes first.
Yeah, I have, I think it's a quandary. I think it's not so much a question that I have, but we find ourselves in the middle of something that could go either way. I think it would be unfortunate to have a bit of both the single pane and the double hung sort of live together in disharmony. I, for one, am not that keen on having to continue the double hung for historic reasons. I like the single hung, the single pane, but I think mixing the two is not ideal. So I think it's a quandary. I don't know what one does. I would say if this is a building that didn't have the single pane window, that it would be a mistake to allow one and keep what is there. But the fact that there are already quite a few buildings with the single pane creates a situation for us that's hard to establish a better way to go. So I'm perplexed as what to do. I don't know. It's a tough situation.
Paige?
Well, thank you very much for your presentation. But to be honest, I'm not swayed by public opinion on other buildings. Just because somebody else's building has a hybrid window doesn't necessarily mean that this is the appropriate thing for this building. While you were talking, I actually looked up on a database and I found out an awful lot about this building. It's George and Edward Blum. It dates from 1924. And originally, I'm trying to locate a picture of it. It's not loading. But the thing is that your building is in very good condition. And I agree with Peter, you're at a halfway mark. And this building, as far as I'm concerned, I'm surprised the Landmarks Commission didn't ask you for a master plan, because the quandary is these are very expensive apartments with lovely vistas, but the dressing of the building, and it's hit or miss. It's funny because it's like the temperature is rising, and on the upper floors seem to be the majority of 1/1s, but everybody else has a tilt and turn. And I'm just curious for two things. One is the movement to adopt a very contemporary building, a very contemporary window style for a building from 1924. And also the fact that you still have half the building being 1/1 windows, which calls out for a master plan. So on the evidence that you've given, not looking at your own building and its asset and showing us buildings that where the same window is used doesn't give me any reassurance that this is the right way to go.
Madge?
I agree with Paige that the other buildings really are not of concern to this building. My question is more about the master plan. Does the building itself, in my own building, when someone asked for windows, the building said, well, whatever the landmarks decides, that will become what we base our master plan on. So perhaps if the tilt and turn windows were approved, then the building would consider that for a master plan, since it's already seems to be a movement in that direction.
Well, Mr. Brown, are you in a position to make a comment about this master plan?
Sure. I know. So for this renovation, we did a few additional things. We also, if you notice at the 11th floor where we have those AC units, we also did through the wall louvers, which the
Yes.
building is proposing to do throughout the entire facade as a master plan. If you notice, there's a variation of different louvers that are either on the right side of the windows, and you have some that's also centered on the windows. So the building is developing a master plan where we have louvers centered throughout the facade. We asked them this question of having a master plan, but we're still waiting for their response, because it's by only shareholders responsibility for each windows.
I just want to say also that I appreciate that you pointed out other buildings in the area with this type of twist and tilt windows. Because then when I take a walk tomorrow, I'm gonna look more carefully at these things.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else have a question?
Yeah, I want to add a little bit, Michelle, just to what I said before.
Mhm.
Many of you may know that the El Dorado on Central Park West had a floor of single pane windows for a number of years. I forgot what floor it was, but I think it was like the 7th or 8th floor. And the building's management and owners pushed on the tenants of that floor to put back the typical double hung windows that were there before. So they replaced the single glazing, the single opening window with double hung. So that's an example of a building that went the other way.
I mean, when they presented the master plan, the LPC made them take out the single frame windows and put in doubles. These
Well,
got more expensive.
It wasn't a master plan, it was just done. Now there is a master plan, but before there was one floor that had all these same windows that you see here with a single pivoting or outswinging window.
That's quite a different building though, right?
Yeah, it's a different building, but it's an example of going the other way.
Right.
Paige?
I'm going to mispronounce your name, Mr. Brown. It's easier than your first name. You brought up an interesting anecdote in your closing remarks, and that is the placement of the air conditioning registers through wall. And the reason why I'm suspecting, and you can clarify that, the reason why they're offset is typically there's a window, a radiator underneath the window that conflicts with where the placement of an air conditioner would go. So I think the other concern I have is that some floors have no air conditioner, some do. I think we need to understand more about the building in terms of what the plans are and not do this piecemeal, one floor or one apartment at a time. Because then I think we can support you and guide you on the whether or not it's going to be 1/1 or single pane. I don't feel confident in casting my vote for something that is not fully documented. So I would ask that you come back and with the recommendation of the Landmarks Commission to show all of the potential changes that you may be doing to the facade.
But
I don't think that's our purview.
I mean, Mr. Brown is just working for a particular client, an owner of one apartment, right? I mean,
Yes, correct.
Yes, but the one apartment is part of an ensemble of
Yeah.
architecture. So the question I have is, you can't, I would imagine if the Landmarks Commission could be approached through Mr. Brown and his client, that he is modifying again something that hasn't been part of a master plan or a thought through process for future change. Because at first we were looking at 1/1 windows, and now we learn, no, they're gonna be air registers for air conditioning underneath. So I don't think this application is complete,
I see what you mean.
okay?
I just want to clarify, when I mentioned air conditioners underneath, that's something that's happening right now. Each apartment is doing their own renovation, and the building is specifying that we have the air conditioner centered underneath. So our project, we already have approval from the landmark that specify the AC louver centered underneath.
Then we should see a plan. We need to see a plan that shows the overall intent and who's moved their air conditioners and who hasn't. Because right now, it's not, you haven't identified that. You're only looking at windows. And this is a major, Peter's right, this is a major alteration if you're trying to tidy up the symmetry and alignment of new conveniences. So I don't think this is complete enough for us to vote on.
Paige,
My opinion.
Paige,
Go ahead, Madge.
Hi,
Paige, you asking for a master plan for the whole building for windows and air conditioners, or just air conditioners?
I don't know what we're looking at because they're saying that they're here for windows, but the building is adopting a new plan to relocate and move all the through wall air conditioning sleeves to the middle. We don't have any documentation or any time frame about how that's going to take place or how many units are actually going to do it. So I think it's not, and then the problem is the bottom two floors, I'm assuming the entry level is probably professional offices, and the second floor has got only one piece of, no, I think that's a parking sign. There are no through window, through wall air conditioners. And I'd like to hear from the owner, Mr. Turciano.
Yes. Hi, if I may clarify a few points, since I did speak to the board. First of all, yes, there are no commercial spaces. It's all apartments from the first floor up.
Okay.
This apartment, 11B, was an apartment that was lagging in renovation since the 70s. It was the only remaining apartment that didn't have through-wall air conditioners. The reason why you don't see through-wall openings in all the apartments, because going back quite a while ago, the building did allow people to put condensers on the roof. And so they have air handlers inside with refrigerant running up to condensers.
Okay.
This was the last apartment that I'm aware of, I will confirm with the board, that did not have through-wall air conditioners or a condenser. So it was the last apartment that still had ACs hanging through the windows. The board was eager to get rid of that. As far as standardizing the through-wall ACs, the building's request and what Julie prepared previously for that application was that we try to match what the building is considering standard or the more recent through-wall air conditioner openings, which was basically sort of like a mid-size one, very similar to the floor below, which was a west, lined off the west window of the sets. And so that's what we did. There's really no consistent pattern or standard, but they all tend to favor the western edge of the window. So that's what we did. We made sure that it wasn't oversized, try to minimize the impact, but in some way try to create, continue some kind of pattern. So I don't believe that the building would need or require any more through-wall openings besides the ones that we just did.
Is it your intention then that the other tenants with the package units on the roof?
There's no, correct. It's unlikely that anybody else would have to do a through-wall AC. It looks like we were the last apartment that did not have that.
And are you planning to close up some of these openings that you see?
No, all the openings that are made are in use. And the ones that are not there will not be needed due to the condensers that are already installed that provide AC for those apartments.
Thank you very much. That's a very good explanation.
So
I wish that had been documented on the facade. That would help.
Okay,
Thank
so our focus is really about the windows. We did speak to board members and other owners. The tendency of the building is to go to the single pane tip and turns or tilt and turns. It doesn't seem like anybody has an interest of, especially because the top two floors, the two probably on the four nicer apartments on the front, it's unlikely that they would go back and take out those windows and go to a double hung. And then the other people on the lower floors, I know they like the single pane. So it seemed like the tendency of the building would, if we wanted to standardize, which of course I would love that, would be towards a single pane window. When we approached the board on this, there was somehow the building management shifted owners and we got a really slow response, and we wanted to get something presented since we're in mid-construction at the moment on the interior work. But we could go back to the board and put together a master plan. There was interest on it, but we were kind of timed out for this presentation.
Who are you working with at Landmarks?
Julie?
Julie?
You're
We
muted.
can't hear you, honey. Mr. Brown, we can't hear you.
We're working with Winnie Chow
Okay.
and Emma Waterloo.
Now, you were on the LPC calendar for, I guess it was yesterday, but laid over. How did that happen?
So we were in communication with Landmark simultaneously.
Mhm.
So they gave us two options, the 13th or the 20th for a hearing. So we just need to confirm. But we wanted to have this meeting to see how, where we at with our presentation.
So you will be back on the LPC calendar either the 13th or the 20th of July.
Correct, yes.
Okay. And our full board meeting is the 6th of July. Is that right, everybody? Anybody who is a non-committee board member that has
I actually have a comment.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, just a quick thing. I'm really not comfortable. I appreciate that you gave samples from other buildings in the area, but I'm really not comfortable with the modern look on such a historic building. And the fact that other people have done it doesn't really soothe my concerns about that. So I'm not gonna be able to support this. I'm sorry. The presentation was great, but it's just, I feel like an old building like this really deserves to have the classic look of the windows. Thank you very much.
So to you, the classic look is the double windows, the 1/1.
Yeah.
Good point.
I think we should vote on this application, and you vote as you wish. And so I'll propose, Madge, you want to say something?
Yeah, one quick one. It's just kind of a gamble whether the building's going to go one way or the other with the master plan, or if people can continue one way or another with 1/1s or singles. So it almost doesn't tell you that whichever way you vote, that the building's going to ever have all the windows the same.
Well, that's true. That's
Is there
true.
any precedent, Michelle or Kay, of our reaching out to landmarks and saying, listen, we think this is an opportunity for a master plan and, this really should happen, or Paige, perhaps you know that. It seems like it's unfair to have Mr. Brown and Mr. Terciano be responsible for that because they only have one project they're working on. But is there any scope here for our reaching out to LPC and saying this could use a master plan?
That's one reason why I took the names of the person that they were working with. They're two very experienced preservationists. And I think, given the time frame that we have one more meeting beforehand, I would suggest that we reach out to landmarks, Michelle or Kay or me or whoever, Mark, and explain the situation. Because Magic's right. We don't want to pick the wrong twin. And it could be terrible. So I think we owe it to the owner to do a little assistance here to jumpstart the Landmarks Commission, and my suggestion would be we would follow what the Landmark Commission would ask us to do. Because I think there's so many buildings like this in New York that could be beautiful buildings if, as Madge said, you pick the right alternate or the right design. And I'm siding with Susan here that you have this amazing Art Deco building, and we're not respecting the details. The big window just isn't right.
So you're proposing to table this application as well?
Yes.
Peter, what do you
would-
say? You agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Michelle will never ask me to write resolutions again.
No? So we will invite the applicant of 322 West 72nd Street to our July 8th meeting. The same thing?
The 6th, this
What?
sorry,
6th, I'm sorry.
yeah, July 6th meeting.
July 6th is the full board meeting.
Full
July
board meeting.
Yeah,
July 8th is
July
our,
8th is the committee meeting.
Oh, sorry, I got it
We're
wrong.
not-
Thank you. I stand corrected.
Yeah, so we won't make a presentation of this application at the July 6th full board meeting, but ask the
Manchester.
applicant to come back on July 8th.
Manchester.
What are we asking him to come back with?
The Landmark Commission needs to arbitrate and discuss the situation of half and half and decide themselves whether or not they need a master plan, because these are expensive apartments, and I know that Mr. Brown will be disappointed with his client, but we need to make sure that the totality of the building is the stewardship of it is being correctly addressed.
Mr. Brown, what's your reaction to this?
He's gobsmacked.
Mr. Brown,
Yes,
you can say something. Please tell us what your reaction to this is. And
I agree. A master plan will clarify the changes and future changes, and we could prepare a master plan for the 8th.
Great.
okay, so we will table this discussion until July 8th, when the applicant will come back with a master plan, having spoken with the staff members at LPC about this, and then kindly give us your new date at LPC when we see you on the 8th, Mr. Brown.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you
Okay,
very
thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Kay, can you take over? I gotta run to the ladies' room.
Oh, of course. All right, our next one, moving north, is 43 West 74th. Is somebody here to address us on that?
Who would that be, Kay?
43 West 74. I'm looking for a raised hand or something
It'll be an attendee, so who might that
in
be?
attendees. Oh, there we go.
Lauren
Lauren Cannon.
Great.
Great. Is Lauren promoted?
Yes.
Oh, there you are. Okay, please tell us what you would like us to look at.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to present. My name is Lauren Cannon, architect for the owner. We're talking about the building at 43 West 74th Street. Our proposal is to remove a portion of the rear extension of the building in the rear yard. We're not proposing anything that's visible from any street or any public area. And that's our only proposal. So I will share my screen here.
Okay.
And do you have anyone else with you you'd like to be promoted to a panelist?
No.
Okay, great.
Okay, can you see that screen?
Yes.
Yes.
So this first sheet is to just kind of show the location, get you all kind of located on the same page. This is the property is 43 West 74th Street. It's on the north side of the 74th Street between Columbus Avenue and Central Park West. This is to the right is the view of the building, and we have two photographs, one including the building, then looking east, so you can see it within context. And then there's a second photograph of the building looking west. So again, just to kind of provide some context. This particular building was designed and built by a single architect with 5 buildings together. Mm-hmm. And so this is one of 5 that the architect designed and built. It was, that's the first page. So the second page is to kind of provide a little background of the building itself. This map shows from the city dated 1889 to 1890, when it was first constructed. And as you can see, all of the buildings or most of the buildings had rear extension. This portion of the building, that a smaller portion of the building that extended into the rear yard. And then, as you can see from the map in 1889, that all of those rear extensions were approximately the same. Then we get to a city map dated 1920, and all of a sudden you see something different. That somebody at some point had installed an additional extension at the rear yard of the 43 building and also at the 45 building. But the 5 buildings designed by this single architect, now you've got 3 that are, now you got these 2 buildings that are different. That's something that was added. And then this is the current configuration showing these are the 5 buildings that in the designation report by landmarks in this historic district, they point out for these 5 buildings, all designed by the same architect. So this anomaly that was added at some later date is still existing at this time. So our proposal is very simple. It's very straightforward. Nothing visible, nothing in terms of the front of the building. This owner owns a number of properties. He's involved in real estate and construction. They own a number of properties in landmark districts. And so we present the landmarks quite a bit. We just completed approximately $1 million restoration, replaced almost 1,000 pieces of historic detailing on a building on a cast iron facade downtown. Landmarks was so thrilled that they wanted to present this as an award to the building. So this is the owner. So the front of the building will be fully restored, 100% the way, total restoration. And the only thing that Landmarks wanted us to come to go to a public hearing was the removal of this rear portion of the building. So again, nothing in our application here is anything public or anything visible from any public area. So that gives you kind of the context of the the property and the history. We got access to a building on the other side of the building. So we took some photographs just to show the rear portion of the building within the context of the buildings, again, along adjacent to it. So this is the photograph to the left is showing the 43 building, which is our building. And then adjacent to the east is 41. So they've already, they've done some work with replacing windows and things like that. And this is the center photograph shows both the building to the 43 building and then the building to the left and the building to the east and then the building to the west as well, which hasn't done any renovation. And then the photograph to the right showing, again, context. This photograph kind of gives you an idea as to what our intent is. So this photograph is taken from the 43, the rear of the 43 building looking east. So you can see where almost all of the rear extensions of all of the buildings I don't want to say all the buildings, most of the buildings on the block have a very, they have an alignment to this rear extension. And that is our goal. That is what we're going to do, is to restore the building back to its original design and to align with the rear of the other adjacent buildings. These are some photographs just of existing site context. So right now, with the extension as it is, we only have about a 3.5 foot distance from the rear wall of that extension to the rear property line. So it's really unusable. And as you can see, it's not in good condition. And landmarks, I think the only thing that one of the things that they requested is that whatever is remaining, as you can see, the brick has been painted and it's in poor condition, is that we restore the brick, the original brick finish. And the owner said, absolutely, they will do that. And then this is just to kind of summarize what we're doing, is just showing where that the very rear portion that was added at a later date, not intended by the original architect. We're going to take that off. And then the three things, we reviewed this with the deputy director at Landmarks quite extensively. And they said in writing, they think this is an appropriate change and they have no objection to this. They did ask us for three things. And this diagram with the photograph shows those three things. And again, the owner has certainly agreed to these. One is that there's a small portion of the parapet, brick parapet at the roof for some reason. I don't know why it's there. They want that removed. So we will remove that. Second thing is that they want, if you see at the brown, that little brown facade, there's a little bit of a brick cornice. They want that restored all the way across the rear wall. And again, the owner said, absolutely, we will certainly do that. And then the third one was the brick, the window. The only window that they wanted to maintain the existing size is this window at the 5th floor. And again, the owner said, absolutely, we will do that. That's our presentation and that's our proposal. Thank you very much.
All right, questions from committee members? Paige. You need to unmute.
We can't hear you, Paige.
Bravo. The only thing I didn't write down quickly enough, because you had diagrammed your discussion very well. The brick parapet, are you referring to the brick parapet at the end of the L? The
yes, yes,
okay.
Correct.
So
you're
that
very good, Paige. I know you.
I know. I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to get demerits from my community board tonight. This could be a turning point, though. But the second, and then you're maintaining the 5th floor window. But is it the parapet along the roof line that you're going to take away, or
yes,
extend? And
at the main building? Yes, they because right now it looks kind of. There's no parapet on half of it and there's a parapet on the other half. So they said, whatever they did, please take that off. And That's
Are
what
you
we'll
gonna
do.
put a railing up though? for
Yes, that
security?
we will put a railing, and Landmark said clearly it looks like what's up there now is somebody bought something or found something. But we will put a railing there, but that will be worked out very carefully with Landmark.
Great, thank you very much. No other comments. Good project.
Anybody else with a question or a comment from the committee?
Oh, Susan wants to make a comment?
She does not.
She does not?
Anybody else
Oh,
or
sorry.
anybody from the non-committee board members with a question or comment? Anybody here from the public on this project? Probably not, doesn't look like it. All right, so great. I think this is an unusual proposal for us, but I think I'll speak personally. I think it's refreshing. And does somebody want to propose a resolution?
I can, very simply that this is a lovely presentation, very thorough. All the changes reverting to the original, not the altered townhouse, have been considered. And given that they are planning to restore that original L, the committee votes in favor of the proposed design.
As appropriate to the character of the district.
Exactly.
Okie dokie. Are we ready to do a vote?
I think Madge wanted to say something.
Oh, yes, sorry, Madge, yes. Oh, no, you're ready to vote.
Oh, okay. So I'll take the vote by
Yeah.
name. Paige,
Yes.
Peter. I'll go
You're
back.
muted.
Yes, I said, sorry.
Okay. Josh,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes,
Jay is absent. Madge,
Yes,
Kay,
Yes.
Ortiz is absent, Mark is absent, and me, I'm a yes, so. And are there any no votes? I don't think there's anybody who's voting no. No. No abstentions and no ineligibles, so the resolution passes by a vote of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 0 to 0 to 0. Thank you.
Thank you so very much.
Do any of the
Are there any
non-committee board
non-committee
members
board
wanna-
I'm sorry.
vote? Either Miranda,
Ira,
Ira. Anybody want to weigh in?
Can I just ask a question? I only wrote down Peter, me, Susan, Madge, Kay, and Michelle. That's
Josh,
Unfortunately, I missed this.
Josh.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
I
So that-
was watching these people in front of CBS who want a new job, and it was a job interview, you know, and you might have heard of these guys.
this
Thank you
is
very
not
much.
Ira.
Well done. Thank
how
you.
about Miranda? Do you want to vote on this, Miranda? Do
Be
you
with
want to
us?
yes or no? Are you still here? So
May have
there's no
stepped
non-committee.
stepped away.
vote.
No, I'm not going to be voting on anything. I'm just listening in tonight, but thank you.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
All right,
So the vote is 7-0-0-0.
that's right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much.
All right. We ready to move on to 121 West 88?
Yeah, are we doing 333 Central Park West? Or did I miss something?
Oh, we are doing that. We generally go south to north.
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
121 West 88th Street is okay by me.
Yeah, who's here? Want to raise a hand if you're here for that?
121 West 88th Street. This is a,
Full floor.
Application for a full floor addition, rooftop addition, relocation of the main entrance, expanded fenestration, and new balconies on the rear facade.
Fairly involved, so I'd like to hear about it if somebody's here.
Yes, we have Brian Rappel.
Oh, great. All right,
Thanks.
Brian, you've been promoted, and congratulations. You can unmute and speak to us or share a screen or whatever you'd like to do.
This is the application that's in front of LPC on 6/15, June 15th. That's next week, Tuesday. And it'll have to go to them without a full board vote, just a committee vote.
Okay. Well, let's hear about it.
Correct.
I can share my screen now?
Please.
Yes, please.
Got it. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Very good. I'm trying to go to full screen. So thank you for meeting with us this evening. This is a proposal that this property came before you twice previously with a different team. I think it was around 2019. The scope of work was somewhat similar. It was a vertical enlargement, as well as some modifications on the rear of the building. My understanding is that initially the proposal was to do some demolition in the back. That was not found to be acceptable. A second proposal was put forth, and at which point I think it was put forth to Landmarks. Since then, they've changed the project team, and this is a new proposal for an enlargement on the roof and some modifications of the rear of this building at on West 88th Street, 121 West 88th Street. It's a 1898 Renaissance Revival townhouse by Alonzo B. Kite. This is the plan of the existing building. We are looking in yellow is the extent of our enlargement at the roof. So it's a penthouse essentially that we're be adding. The penthouse I can show you on the building section here. So you can see that it has a sloped roof. So it's a one-story addition, but it has a stair to an upper terrace that allows both terrace use and then access to shielded or screened mechanical equipment. So it's a one-story enlargement that has access to the setback roof area. The sight lines are such that we thought it was entirely invisible from West 88th Street. They're still completing the mock-up, but the mock-up portion that we were able to complete in time for this presentation, it shows that there's a very, very small sliver of visibility of that front leading roof edge on West 88th Street. The rear of the building is very visible because there's a playground there, so it has almost full visibility from the rear, from West 89th Street. This is the mock-up that we are in process of completing. The front and the rear wall are the portions that we were able to complete in time for the presentation. The rest should be completed end of day tomorrow if committee members are interested in going by and seeing it. The sight line, so the front of the building is such that this is with the mock-up in place. You can see just a very, very small degree of visibility just poking up at the corner, less than the adjacent building, which is enlarged on its roof. Both side buildings on the left and on the right were both previously enlarged. On the angle, that's the roof line. So it's about 10 to 12 inches of visibility of that addition roof line from West 88, front facade of the building. Moving down the block, there's no visibility. From the other angle, looking back, no visibility. And approaching closer to the building, again on the diagonal, you're getting about 4 or 6 inches of that roof line, which is the orange mesh you're seeing right there. From West 89th Street, again, no visibility in this case from the oblique angle, but as you approach frontally, from the two oblique angles, but as you approach frontally, the nature of the property is that all of these rear facades are visible due to the presence of this playground here. What you can see is that there was previous enlargements on both of the two adjacent structures that predated our proposal, obviously. Some of them may have predated even the designation. I don't know the history of that. This is was done earlier in the year, so there's less trees blocking it. So you can see a little bit, our property is the one in the center. And a couple of things just to point out, and I think this was important in the last set of reviews, is that the footprint does have a series of extensions that are mirrored with the adjacent property along the block. This was all developed as kind of a continuous row house, series of row house by the same architect and developer. We are proposing to maintain all of that massing. What we are looking to do is to rationalize the rear windows, enlarging them slightly, and then obviously the addition on top. So what you're seeing in the foreground is the portion which aligns with the adjacent building. Above that, this is set back significantly due to the taper of the roof and setback. So that's the door access. This is the mechanical equipment and screening, and then there's a skylight in between. The images on the right are the rendering that's kind of showing the right and below the proposal within the context. So again, that setback portion is not entirely invisible, but it's largely obscured due to the sight lines because of the setback. So you're seeing a little bit of the pergola and then the mechanical screening and the bulkhead there. This is a blow up of that rear elevation, again showing the existing adjacent structures have mostly been modified. So there's a pretty diverse kind of articulation of fenestration on the rear facades. You know, some of them have been enlarged, there's been balconies added and whatnot. I apologize, I should have said this earlier. We were also proposing two separate balconies to be cantilevered off of the main body of the building here and here at the second and the third floor. Oh, sorry, went too quickly there. That's again just showing the rendering within context, matching the massing of the existing, and then just rationalizing the window fenestration pattern. Existing front. So on the front of the building, there's a series of staff level approvals that we were just asked to also include in the presentation. And so the building originally had a center entry, which is also consistent with many others on the block. At some point, it had been modified to a side entry. Our intention is to restore it to the center, so modifying this back to the original configuration, including an entry from the gate from the sidewalk. So you're seeing here that front restored entry. There's also, historically, there was some through-wall air conditioning units that had been put through the brick. Those will be infilled with a matching brick, and the masonry will be cleaned. Windows will be replaced in kind. We're maintaining the existing wooden brick mold and replacing them with a clad 1/1 window, which is permissible at the staff level, we understand. A blow up of just the historic photo of that entry condition and what we are proposing to restore that to. And some of the original, again, the existing windows actually had been clad with aluminum. We'll be removing that and bringing back the original brick mold and doing a clad window insert within that, maintaining again the articulation of the original brick mold. And some of the proposed materials. So up at the enlargement, we're looking at doing a standing seam roof. There's going to be the rear of the building is an existing cementitious targe coat, which we will be essentially, it's in pretty bad shape, so it's probably going to be replaced entirely in kind, but it'll be matching the original targe coat. And then we are doing, as I mentioned, an infill at where the penetrations were made in the existing front facade when they put in those through-wall AC units. And that is the full extent of the presentation.
Okay, Madge has a question.
I have two questions, three actually. I need the gentleman's name. I don't know his name. I didn't get it when he first started speaking.
Brian. I'm sorry, Brian.
Okay, this is Brian Rappel.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. My first question is, how tall is this addition and how tall is the whole building without the addition?
Sure, sure. So the existing, we go to the front facade. So the existing height of the cornice on the front facade is 47 feet and change, 1 5/8 inch. The existing height of the rear cornice, it's a pitched roof, is about 2 feet less. So it's 45 feet 9.5. On the proposed front roof line, not the peak, but the front at the setback level, we would be going from 47 to 54 feet. At the rear, we'd be going from 45 to 54 feet. And then the peak, which is really at the bulkhead, let me go back to the section. The peak is at the bulkhead. I'm sorry, 1 moment. Go back to the drawing. The peak at the bulkhead, which is right here, is at 65 feet.
Thank you.
All right. And other questions, Paige?
Well, thank you for opening that issue, Madge. I came up with looking at this section, and I actually came up with 66 feet at the rear and 45 feet in the front. It's quite that's anywhere between 20 and 21 feet of additional height that will be added. And if you look at from the playground, that's right next to PS 166. The issue is that most of the buildings previously that did rooftop additions centered them in the middle of the building and were only 1 story, where the mechanical equipment was at the same story as the addition. This will be quite a sizable addition. The others are all flat roofed or very minutely or infinitesimally pitched. This one is going to be quite a showcase in terms of its change of the brownstone townhouse layout. It doesn't really sit with the appearance of this building, which was called a Manhattan style entrance with the center entrance and the beautiful graceful step, and you would come into a foyer and your cloakroom, and then there would be a waiting room and then the living room. This is a very, very different departure in terms of design. And I could live with a single rooftop addition. Again, the problem is that most of these, and sorry, your name is Brian?
Brian.
You have 3 community board members who live on West 88th Street, and it's your lucky night because 2 of them that are here this evening are architects. And I think I want to ask Peter to join in here, but most of the rear additions are set back. They don't follow and add a monolithic plane straight up, so that you get the essence of what the original townhouse volume and bulk was. So I think this is a lovely design, but not for our neighborhood. And I think it needs some work to really try to fit in a little better. That's my comment. I don't know how others feel.
Peter, your thoughts? Do you have?
Yeah, I'm the other party that has lives on 88th Street, and all those houses that this is one of many of really live in harmony one with the other. I think the good thing here is the idea of replacing the entrance to the middle and the front. I think that would be a boon. That would be much better. That's what most of the buildings on either side have, the entrance in the middle of this, what do you call it, Page? English front or something?
Well, they used to call it a Manhattan front because you were elevated just enough to glide into your new home.
My problem also is on the roof. I think it's altogether too much. I think the idea of an additional floor makes sense. Setback, I don't know that the setback here is enough. I think I have in my brownstone, I added a floor, but was set back considerably more. I have a feeling that much of this rooftop addition will be seen from 88th Street. Not just the sloping portion, but the front as well. I think it's altogether too close to the cornice line. I don't have any problem with the addition on the rear, but I think the sloping roof overdoes it. I can respect the idea of going up yet further on that roof, but that giant slope is going to be seen from the other side of 88th Street, from Amsterdam, from Columbus. It'll be quite visible.
Well, we have the mock-up, right? Or no?
No, not yet.
These are photos from the mock-up. The mock-up is the front and the rear wall of the mock-up are complete. By end of day tomorrow, we're trying to get the entire volume, including the sloped roof, just so that we can confirm visibility. But this, what you're seeing is the mock-up. So that sliver of orange is the only portion of the roof line which is visible. And part of the idea behind the sloped roof was to essentially kind of, if you look, this is the sightline study from the opposing sidewalk, that the pitch of the roof was such that we would be well below any sight line.
Keep in mind that you're showing somebody looking at it right across the street.
Mm-hmm.
You walk down 20 or 30 feet, you'll see a lot more. So
We
I
have some sight lines from there.
consider that.
Yeah. So this again, that sliver of orange here is the oblique visibility that you're seeing of that roof line there. And then it actually is, by the time you get down to the corner of at the end of the block on the that will be the east side, it's not visible.
I'd like to add to Peter's comment that the other thing that you're not factoring into your sightline is the fact that there will be a guardrail, which I believe your drawing showed it was a glass panel with a metal cap. And that glass, because it's a very bright street, we are very fortunate. I live on the same side of the street as Peter does, and it floods with sunshine. And that glass will show glare and show dirt. So it will be visible from the street. It's the only one on the block that will have a fence on the front of the building.
How high is the peak of that slope roof above the existing roof?
Above the existing roof, it is about, bear with me 1 second, we went from 47 to 65. It's about 18 feet higher.
18 feet?
Yes.
That's enormous.
Yes,
That's 2 floors.
that's 40% of the height of the building, in addition of 40%. I mean, that's a lot.
That's a lot. It's enormous.
So the height right now is predicated on us trying to get an access point to that roof, which allows us to then have the mechanical equipment at that level. So it's basically a 6'8" headroom that we needed to get to that area, and that's what dictated that point.
Well, then relocate the mechanical equipment within the floor that you've just created. It's too much. I agree with my colleagues.
It's just too much.
I'll pile in here and say I agree too much. Ordinarily, at this point, I'd mentioned I'm a bird watcher and I'd be concerned about the glass, but I already agree it's too much to put on top of that building.
So in general, we approve of the moving the entrance to the middle of the building because that puts the door back to where it was.
I think that's very good.
And Peter, you said you would approve the addition on the rear of the building. Is that right? But we find the roof is just
Yes,
too big. And they should come back to us with a different plan to minimize the, what did you say, Paige? Put the mechanicals?
Well, I think mechanicals, you can't, first of all, mechanicals going up through a habitable space like that
Yeah,
never works because of the way you bump the equipment up, air conditioning. I don't know what else is going up there, but I'm also nervous that it's too close to the edge of the building. It changes the entire composition when you look from the playground of a setback that differentiates it. It tries to become part of the existing building. If you show your facade, sir.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to it. Oops.
Right. There you go. That's an awful lot of modern architecture, and that will be the only building like that that's visible. And the sad part about the park is that I can see my townhouse. I'm several buildings further west, and you can see all the way to the back of Columbus Avenue. So this just doesn't meet the threshold that Landmarks calls appropriate.
no,
So our resolution would approve the movement of moving the entrance, approve the addition on the rear, but not find the rooftop addition appropriate to the historical district.
that's right.
Sorry,
And the
important
new
clarification.
facade.
I'm sorry, one important clarification. There's no proposed enlargement on the rear of the building. It's all existing. So the only it's modification of just the windows.
I missed that. I'm sorry. Could you say that again?
There's no proposed enlargement on the rear of the building. The only modification are just the window fenestration. So there's no rear yard enlargement.
So we would approve the changes to the fenestration on the rear.
Yes.
Okay, so I think we have a resolution. Am I right, Kay?
Yep. Like it.
So the resolution is to approve the movement of the entrance to the building, to approve the fenestration on the rear, but to find the rooftop addition inappropriate to the historical district.
And disapprove that, yes.
And yes. All right, I'll take a vote on that.
Before you do it, Michelle, there are 3 people still in the attendees. I wonder if anyone is there from the public with a comment. It's Pauline Dang and Ali Officer.
Okay, go ahead, Susan.
No one's got their hand raised, but just want to check if anyone wants to talk.
I assume they're here for the next and last.
Okay.
project.
Okay, so I'll take a vote on the resolution. Paige?
Well, there are 3 parts to the resolution. The
Correct.
entrance, I agree.
Uh-huh.
The rooftop addition, no.
Right.
And I'm gonna also vote no for the large fenestration. It has no diminution. The windows are the maximum floor to ceiling that you can give. And I'm
Okay.
no.
So we're gonna call A, the front facade, B, the fenestration, and C, the rooftop. So you're yes, no, no.
Thank you.
Okay. Peter, on the 3 parts to this resolution. Entrance is A,
Entrance is yes,
okay. Fenestration in the rear
yes,
and rooftop.
no,
Okay, thank you. Josh? Are you still here?
He's here.
Okay,
Me too.
I don't
See,
see-
I was muted.
oh, sorry.
That's
So
okay.
on the front entrance door,
Yes,
on the rear fenestration,
I'm abstaining. I just don't understand it enough to say
okay. And C on the rooftop addition,
no.
okay. Sue?
Yes, no, no. I'll have what Paige is having tonight.
Jay is absent. Madge. I always want to call you by your proper name.
Okay, yes, yes, no.
Kay,
I'm going with Madge and a yes, yes, no.
and same for me. Yes, yes, and no on the rooftop. We got everybody, Paige Williams, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, are there any non-committee board members
Ira.
who would like to vote?
I would like to vote.
Thank you.
I would like to give one yes for the entrance, which I'm grateful is happening.
Yes.
And I'm going to give 2 no's on the other counts.
Okay, thank you, Ira. Is there anybody else, a non-committee board member here? I don't see anybody. Okay, so that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the front facade door movement for B. So that's 8 to 0 to 0 to 0. On the rear fenestration, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Yes. 1, 2, 3 no's, 1 abstain, and no one 0 ineligible.
There were
And
5 yes on the rear, unless I'm wrong.
No, 4.
4.
I have Peter.
I thought Peter voted yes, no? You vote?
Peter, yes, that's what I'm saying. Peter voted yes.
Yes.
Madge, Kay, Sue, Josh,
And Michelle, yes?
Michelle.
Yeah, so that's 5
1, 2, 3, 4, sorry, 5 for the
Rear.
rear fenestration. 5 to 3 to 1 to 0.
3 to 1. Yes, we had 1 abstention.
Okay.
Yeah, that's too many. We only have 8 people.
Yes, so that's be 5 to 2 to 1 to 0.
Okay.
No, but Ira joined in. He hasn't
But
been.
he's not on the
But he's
committee.
a separate vote.
Oh, that's right. Okay, beg your pardon. So it's 4,
No, 5 to
5.
1.
2 to 1 to 0.
5, 2, 1 to 0. Okay.
And for the rear, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's nay. 7 against. I don't think anybody voted for the rooftop addition,
No.
but there was 1 abstention. Meryl,
No,
Ed,
I
you-
voted
Yeah.
against.
I think the only abstention was,
Nobody.
so it's 0 to 7 to 0 to 0. Wait,
8 to 0, 0, 0.
yeah, 0 to 8 to 0 to 0. Okay.
wow.
Okay,
And where does Iris vote? Oh, he's the
non-committee is
so his vote was
1 to 0.
yes,
Yes, no, no.
yes, no, no. Got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, and we know when it's calendar?
Calendared for next week, the 15th.
Right.
Along with the Museum of Natural History and the Historical Society, FYI. Thank
Yes.
you.
All righty. Thank you very much. And one more. Okay,
333 Central Park West.
so that must be Pauline.
Hello.
Hi.
Should
Okay.
I read it? And Ali is the principal architect and he's going to join.
Oh, okay. Ali, be promoted. Okay.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi.
You've endured a long,
Yeah,
long
well,
already.
I think I have a funny feeling I had the easier part. You guys do this far more often than.
What's your whole name, please?
So my first name is Ali, A-L-I, and my last name is pronounced Hochek, H-O-C-E-K.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I will start. So the project is for a rooftop terrace at 333 Central Park West, also known as the Turin. And the building was designed originally in 1909. It's a neoclassical Renaissance revival building. It's 12 stories tall. And we are looking to put a roof terrace onto it. You can see from the orange circle that this is bordered by 93rd Street on the south and Central Park West on the east side. In the top left corner there, the red shows that, well, the black shows the whole building, the red showing the wing in which the terrace, the main part of the terrace would be located, the proposed. Let's go to the next one. Here are the tax photographs. The big difference is from its current state is the cornice was removed probably sometime in the 70s when such historical errors were made. The building is made up of limestone and a very pale, similar in tonality, brick. Yep. The roof has 6 bulkheads, 1 elevator bulkhead, 1 stair bulkhead, a water tower, and I think that's it. Yeah, those are all existing. We don't plan to change anything that is existing. Here we see in red, we see the footprint of where the terrace area would be. I'll go through the actual components of it in the next slide. But here you can see that the bulkheads and the elevations, the bulkheads are largely of the same height, except for the freight elevator and the water tower next to it. And these are fairly prominent, and they can be seen as far away as the park. Now here the red is, again, the terrace area. On the far left, which would be the westernmost part, there is an existing stairwell, and we are proposing to put in a restroom and storage room. So it's a bulkhead. To the right of it is a water tower. Then to the right of that is that very large freight elevator. All of the bulkheads, all of the elevator bulkheads have skylights, and they're rather attractive. The faces of the bulkheads are corrugated metal and not so interesting. Then as we work our way to the right, to the east, we have new paving material. We ramp up to a slightly raised platform, and then across to the main terrace area. There is an existing bulkhead there, again, another elevator bulkhead. And on the left is a what we call the pod. It's a screened area. We're very close to the neighbors on the south. So for some level of privacy, there's a screen there. On the right side is the pergola. This is the structure in question. Everything else falls within, has been approved at staff level, but the pergola, as we'll see in a moment, has some sight lines from the street. It's marked in red in those elevations, though you can see that it is consistent in height in proportion to the bulkheads, except for the one very large one, the freight elevator, and the water tower. Pauline, if I've overlooked something, please interject. Yeah?
Sure.
So again, we have some photographs of the roof across the top, existing conditions. On the bottom right, we've marked the location of the pergola. The pergola is set back from the parapets 5 feet. So with the parapet, it ends up being closer to 7 feet on the east and south sides. Yeah. Let me just see if there's anything else in these notes. Yeah, I think that covers it for this drawing. Here on the top, we see the water tower and the freight. On the left is the stair bulkhead and the proposed restroom and storage enclosure. In the drawing in the middle, you see some of the planters that line the path from the freight elevator to the main terrace area. And then here we're looking west and we see, this is the first glimpse we have now of the pergola in elevation. The pergola is made up of 5-inch square steel tubular frame that would be powder coated, and it would have louvers. Louvers give shading, and concealed underneath them in the horizontal members, there are LED lights that light up and softly reflect off of those louvers. So they serve 2 purposes, shading and indirect lighting.
How high is that pergola?
So the underside of the pergola, the underside of the pergola when you're standing on the deck level is 8 feet. And then the louvers are, correct me if I'm wrong, they're under 18 inches. Yeah. 18 inches or under.
So it's 8 plus 18?
18 would be the louver itself, yeah. So it'd be 8 plus the 18, yeah. Excuse me, Madge. It would be 8 to the underside of the beam, and then it would be the 5-inch beam, and then with the beam, it's 18 inches. Yep.
And but then it's elevated on a deck that's 2 foot above the existing roof.
Something is a little off. The existing bulkhead access door, how high is that?
It's a small door. It's about 3 feet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a small door.
That explains it.
Yes.
It's for hobbits, Peter.
So what we did was we set up tripods, large tripods, set them to the height with the deck and then the structures above. And for the restroom, for the pod, and for the pergola. And the pod would and the restroom were, in our conversations with Landmarks, were also of a concern. We since lowered them so that they were within Landmarks parameters, but the remaining item is the pergola itself. So pod and bathroom have been reduced in height, the pergola not. Yep. You can see that from across the street in the bottom left plan that the photographs we've taken are from across the street, right up again, not just the sidewalk, but we went up against the wall of Central Park to take these photographs, south at 93rd Street and north to 92nd, and then down 93rd as well. These are these are all non-visible. So in these shots, nothing is visible. And I'll show you a detail section. You'll see where the issues are, though. The rectangles show some of the contextual structures that there's a penthouse on 93rd, and the adjacent building has a very large, it's shrouded now in construction fabric. So it's a little, I think it's a water tower, but it's, I'm not quite sure what it is, but it stands to reason it's a water tower. Maybe water tower and elevator penthouse. Let's go to the next one. So then our next photographs are from, oh, sorry, would we go back one, please? The worst case scenario of all the photographs taken from the street, sidewalk, is the most exposing, let me say, is the south one there. Yeah, if you can note number 1 there. That's where we have the most exposure. Yeah. In the next one, taken from the park, we have the most exposure from number 6 over there. Yeah. And so you could see in the upper photographs, the middle 2, you could see the black shrouded mystery construction there. In the middle of the third one, going from left to right, you could see some of the water tower, and there's a large vent that goes up from the boiler. That's also slightly visible there as well. We've mocked up, or just in Photoshop, the outline of the pergola. And on the far right, that's blown up so you could see it more clearly, but it's there on the left in the middle photograph as well. Yep. So you can see it's fairly discrete, but it's there. Yep. And then on the bottom 2, if you could scroll, Pauline. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, we're seeing that black structure, and we're seeing from inside the park, we're seeing a little bit of the pergola as well. The rectangle on the left is the penthouse of the neighboring building, and to the right is the black shrouded bulkhead. So here let's look at the drawings first, if we will. We're looking at a plan, and we're looking down onto the louvers. The louvers are braced intermittently with horizontal members. In elevation, we are seeing in red, we are seeing from from the sight line 1 and sight line 6 that we discussed. Sight line 6 is in the park, and sight line 1 is on the sidewalk across the street at 93rd. The angle for sight line 1, the top of the pergola is 3 feet above that, and Landmarks has no comment about that. So the louvers are why we're here today, really. But there is also sightline 6, which from the park we do see that red portion from it's 4'8", I believe. 4'8", is that it? I can't read.
It's 4'3" to the top.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Let's go on to the next one. Oh, sorry, let's zoom out and let's look at the photographs. So this pergola, the clients were very interested in another project we did at 285 Lafayette Street in Little Italy, Soho. And here you could see it's a similar structure with the louvers, the thin framed posts And what I'd like to point out is that the louvers, when you look up, you see much of the sky. It is somewhat obscuring, but I would say sort of 50% or less obscuring. When you view it, in this case, from what would be the south, in the case of 333, because of the angle of the louvers, it's much squatter than the 18 feet that we're seeing because of the angle, 18 inches that I mentioned earlier. Yeah. So it's a light frame. That's the idea, to make it as discreet as possible. Let's go to the next sheet. So again, here, Photoshop and some blow-ups. So let's start on the square ones on the left. We're seeing some contextual items in red again, and then we can see the pergola there as well. Yep. So you can see it. We've blown it up on the right and given it a little bit more contrast. And you can see the louvers and the framing of it. Yep. And so from the south, looking north, the photograph, the photoshopped image on the left shows the pergola. Can you point to it right there? And then we've blown that up, and you can see it here, where the louvers fall within, we're seeing the frame of the pergola, but the louvers themselves, because of the angle, fall within the sight line of the top of the pergola. And then here we're seeing it pretty much from, well, straight on. And again, we're looking from the park, as in the top one. And it's a fairly open structure. I think we have a couple more images. Yeah, so materials. The materials have been reviewed by Landmarks. No, they've all been approved at staff level. There's porcelain tile in a kind of light, it's a gray tone, kind of a granite in kind of attitude, let's say. There's artificial grass, which we also used in that terrace that you saw a moment ago, and it reads quite well and not like AstroTurf. We wanted to use Ipe, but then we started realizing that the sustainability of Ipe it's not harvested very well, and everybody is using it. So we're looking at Kumaru, which is also a tropical wood, also extremely durable and but sustainable. Below that, to the left is the cladding. There's a barbecue, and it's the cladding material around it, Decton. Perforated metal is for some of the vines that'll grow along the edge of the parapet. Those aren't seen in the sight lines, or they're within the less than 3 feet when they're seen. So they've been approved by staff level. Perforated metal, the perforated metal is used, perforated metal is used for the mesh on the right, and the perforated metal is used for some screening material at the pod. And on the left, it's not a good image. It looks rather bright and white. That would be the powder coated finish, excuse me, on the pergola. And it would be more in the tonality of the brick of the facade. Yep. But keeping it light, I think, is very good because it tends to diminish its contrast with the sky, which is light. And I think we have one more.
No, that's everything.
That's it. Okay, good.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very
Okay,
thorough.
I want to correct a mistake I made. I said that the last applicant is in front of LPC next week. I was wrong. It is this address that's in front of LPC next week on the 15th.
Ah, okay.
We wanted
Thank
to ask about the scheduling of the resolution too, because I think there was a little bit of confusion. So I had spoken with Jessie Nieves, the community associate, and she was saying that we would present to you, the preservation committee, tonight, but then the full board issues the resolution July 6th at their meeting. Is that right? So we need to wait for that in order to get the resolution, or how does that?
Well, I'd like to ask you to do that.
Yeah.
Because it probably holds more weight for you to have a resolution from a full board than a committee of now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people out of 50.
Okay.
So
Yeah, we just wanted to clarify if we were getting some
Yeah.
different messages.
Yeah,
Okay.
consider
Thank you.
hoping.
Great.
Okay, any
Other questions?
Yes, will you be able to, Pauline, will you be able to change the scheduling for LPC in the next month so we can have full board review this?
Yeah, I am the person we're working with, I think is helping us do that.
Yeah.
So,
Great, and then just have them send a note to Jessie that say the job was done.
Okay.
And then I appreciate it.
Other any questions about the structure of the proposal? Badge.
We can't hear you, hon. We still can't hear you. Sue, can you try to unmute her?
I'm trying.
Okay. Paige?
Yes. Should I go until we find Madge?
Find Madge? Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
Well, first of all, this is lovely. I mean, the design thought and the fact that it's your second mock-up or your second attempt at doing a similar type of pergola is lovely. But, you know, Fifth Avenue, Central Park West, the north boundaries, is pretty sacrosanct. And while you show a shrouded water tank and elevator bulkheads, those are things that you expect to see on the roof. And they're familiar friends. And what I'm worried about is this one, as elegant as it is, it does break up this building, which is pretty much intact, even including the windows, etc., the door, everything. I had a friend who lived there for a while. And I just think this is the wrong approach. So 2 things. I appreciate you showed us your work was it Soho, where you did the first one?
Little Italy, Soho, yeah.
Sorry. Okay, Little Italy. That's a very different neighborhood than something on Central Park West, to be honest. And you know, the pergola is a great idea, but it doesn't reflect. And I hate to say it because as an architect myself, you fall into a trap of copying some period piece rather than doing something original that the client really loves. So my question is it possible to move the pergola further west so that it is not visible and reduce the size of it?
We looked at several things. I mean, to get 8 people at a table, this is really the size. You have to walk around chairs. You know, so we certainly looked at it. We feel this is a minimum size. It's smaller than the one I showed you in the photographs.
I just think that it's too much of an interference when you look at some of these buildings, even though you could say, oh, well, they're 2 terraces, they have nothing on them. Trust me, once this goes up, so goes the neighborhood. I hate to say it, but we see it all too often. And I can support everything but the pergola, It needs to be something that, particularly because of the way the blades are not perpendicular to the park, but in alignment with the park, it will read as a heavier structure than I think you anticipate. And I think all the other thought that you put into this is great, but I can't support the pergola in its present form.
So if I may appeal.
Sure, no, this is a discussion.
Yeah, thank you.
Convince me.
Yes, it's a wonderful thing about our democracy, right?
So far.
We almost lost.
Okay.
So you know, what I want to say though about those other structures, which landmarks actually suggested we indicate to give some context, they are solid structures. This is the outline of a structure. Its massing is a very different thing. Yep. That's one point. Second point I want to say is that we are, if you will, within right up to the top of the pergola. The question becomes the louvers themselves, which is your point is well taken, of course. I would like to believe that it's, you know, quite open. We are doing kind of forensics here where we're diving in and looking at the detail of this, but you can see when we're not very far, you know, when we're into Central Park, you know, we had to circle things so you could find them. It is, I don't think the neighborhood is going to go downhill. I think this is quite discreet, and you know, one hopes also setting a standard for elegance and good articulation, which I appreciate that you also noted that. Thank you. But those are the two things I would say: the massing of it, and that also the, you know, the louvers, which I think will provide shading and be advantageous, but also provide a soft kind of lighting up there because it's reflected light. Yeah.
Madge?
It's the only way to provide shading to have louvers, because it seems like the louvers are the part that are so visible. And what material are the louvers? Are they metal? And or what color?
The ones that we saw were metal. These are what we're proposing is metal. And because the wind is so strong, they have to be able to deflect the wind, and also they have to have strength to them. Otherwise, they end up being perfect. We've looked at putting vines up instead, creating a more flat surface. But the problem is, we thought of fabric, but our problem we keep encountering is that it is. It's basically working as a sail. The leaves are working as a sail. The fabric works as a sail. This is directed more to the sun at its most critical angles, and you know, so it's about efficiency relative to openness. Yep. So providing as much kind of blocking of the sun, but as much openness as possible, so it's not as massive. The metal helps do that, and the angle of the panels do that.
I have a question, Kay.
Yes.
The pergola is on a 2-foot deck. Is that what you said, Ms. Dang?
Yes, it is. Yes, I can answer for Pauline. Yes, it is. And the reason for that is that it has structure that goes underneath. And this is a building from 1909. The structure only carries for 3 or 4 maintenance people at any one time. So it was never meant for this sort of thing. So we have to distribute the weight of things. The weight, not only the dead weight, not only live weight of people moving around, but also wind loads that are significant because it's an open area. So in that way, we need space there to frame underneath and distribute. So there are beams that come out and they distribute the weight out. Kind of like if you were a skater and you fell on the ice, you would spread yourself out to distribute your weight so you wouldn't crack the ice.
I see. So a 1 foot deck would not distribute the weight correctly.
We wouldn't have the framing underneath. Yeah, yeah. Where we have been able to squeeze it one way or another, we've dropped it down. Yeah. So it does go in different heights.
Let me ask. Well, Peter, sorry.
Yeah, I have a suggestion. Since the whole louver construction appears to be very lightweight, what if it were something you could raise from the roof up to the height of whatever it is, 9 or 10 feet, by pulleys or something like that. And that most of the time when it's not in use, you don't see it.
I mean, it's a wonderful suggestion. My concern is it's, moving parts, and moving parts can fail. And, I would just be concerned with the wind, and, we would put umbrellas up there, was one consideration, not for the pergola, but for the pod. The concern is, things have to be well anchored, and I would be nervous about things moving and the liability of that. Yeah.
Well,
It's
there would
a
be vertical
idea. I'm for it.
There would be vertical poles. That's something that has been done many times, and it's something that you could secure. It may have to be motorized to go up and down, but there's no reason to think that it would be unstable.
Moving parts concern me, but I mean, it's well taken. I appreciate the comment. I just, in terms of my own insurance, I'm nervous about things that move, and over time they can fail. But it's well taken. Yeah.
Other questions for, Susan?
Once again, the theme tonight for me is I'm with Paige. I just feel like, it's a really clear directive we've got. Is it visible from the public way? In this case, it's visible from Central Park. And although it's not as egregious as the black shrouded whatever, it's still visible. So I can't support the pergola. And perhaps we can split the resolution into parts, but I can't support the pergola.
I think the pergola is the only thing we're being asked to weigh in on. Okay.
I just have a question about the lighting, and your picture on the right that is the blow up. You said that the lighting is mounted underneath and it will reflect off the blades?
Yes, it's LED strips. You don't see them, you wouldn't see them from here or from the roof. And yes, they are on dimmers, and it sends the light up, and then the louver sends the light back down.
So at nighttime, you will see the blades as you've designed them would be articulated, and they would look white, right? You will see that lighting from the street and from Central Park.
It's a good point. And if that's a concern, we could take the lights out. Yeah.
I think, I still wish that you could move it further back. I think that would be the best, but I'll wait to hear my colleague.
There are, if I may add to that, there are, I'm drawing a blank now, I think 40 apartments. To get to this area from that rear stair is a long walk. So there's a fair amount of preparing that surface to get to this area of the terrace. So there's a lot of expense and effort that goes to getting to the part that we really want. Once we get there, because there are so many occupants, we want to give at least 3 distinct areas, if not 4 distinct areas, where people can gather. If we move the pergola further over, we're going to lose the pod, and then you're down to 8 people being able to use half the terrace that we spent all the boards, the co-op's money in building. So that's part of the issue with that.
But I thought this was it's on the southern end of the building. And it is on the front, closer to the front of the building. And, so why, I don't understand. I appreciate this is for all the residents in the building, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
But I don't understand why you can't push that. Go to your site plan if you wouldn't mind. There you go. Why can't you take your orange circle and move it up the page and put it at the back side?
Put it where?
Put it at the back side. Right now, it's on the front of the building against 93rd, correct?
Yeah.
So if you moved it.
You mean move it
swap-
further
swap
north?
Swap the pod and the pergola,
Well, then we'll see it from 93rd then. I mean,
but it's not
we-
from Central Park. That is the sacred cow.
You can't move it west at all?
Yeah, move it
That's
west,
what you're saying, is flip the pod and the pergola.
correct. And I would rethink the blade. I think you're creative enough to come up with a different type of lighting scheme that won't highlight the architecture of the blades, but keep it shining down
Yeah.
rather than up.
My concern is that, we're going to transfer the problem to another place. Granted, it's not Central Park, but we're still going to see it obliquely as we walk along the park, because it'll be taller, even though it'll be to the west side. If you're saying that you would approve it at a level by flipping it,
I don't know, we would have to see
Like
that
that,
and
yeah.
evaluate its
Yeah.
impact, to be honest.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
Those were my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions or thoughts? I guess my question, and I could probably just try to read this. What are the dimensions, not the height, but the other dimensions of the pergola? How wide, how long?
I'm going to defer to Pauline on that, please.
It's about 10.5 feet wide by 15.
15.
15.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
I agree with
I-
Paige also.
Oh,
The
God.
pod and the pergola should be swapped. Because
I mean, I see the point. I mean, if I were up there, I would want to be sitting somewhere where I could look out over the park, though. I mean, I can see why the pergola is cited there.
Another part of my concern, by the way, is that the pergola is just so inconsistent with the style of the original building. It's so modern and lovely and elegant, as Paige says, but it just doesn't go with the building.
reference. to
And
the
I
building.
still go back to this. I have this problem a lot when people say, it's minimally visible, or not that visible. It's like it's a line. It's either visible or it's not visible. And I agree with Paige. Central Park, something we strive to protect, and particularly at night with the lights. So I think it.
Mm-hmm.
I just think this is ill-advised.
I didn't love it when I first saw it, but I'm feeling warmer about it. For one thing, I think that you showed it, at least the daytime thing, and I kind of agree with Paige about the lighting. That's an issue. To have it beamed up and reflected down might call too much attention to it at night. You showed the mock-up of it against the blue sky. I wish New York always looked like that. It doesn't. I think it would disappear against our usual grayish, whitish sky for a lot of time, and then I would not I would not dislike it. It's not really my style, but I don't live there. Yeah, I don't think it's a huge problem. I guess I'm probably in the minority, but I would vote to support it.
And that, if it were a matter of the lighting, certainly we could forego the louvers as a lighting element, and we could hang a pendant that you wouldn't see from.
Yeah, I think it's a cool idea. I just think it would be a little garish at night. If anybody wasn't there.
Yeah, I mean, having that, we actually built one of these. I could say that they're not garish. I could show you a photograph, but the light is dramatized in a photograph, and that wouldn't give it credit. But
can we call the question?
Yeah. So the resolution is to approve as presented, but the applicant agrees to remove the lighting structures, the lighting on the pergola.
But that, excuse me one second, I'm really concerned with that, because doesn't that mean that then they can, later on, once it's up there, they can, without permission from LPC, just add the lights? That seems like a real problem.
Yeah, if LPC says they can have the lights.
Even if LPC says they can't have the lights.
But
can I answer? Can I
Sure.
answer that?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, yes.
So in order to get the lights to work, we have to wire within the structure to get to those locations of the louvers. It would never happen after the fact, because you can't get inside those tubes. You only get inside of them while you're constructing it, because you're feeding the wires through the tubes. So it's and we would never tie the wiring on the outside, because that would look hideous. So I think it's quite certain that if we were not to do it, there would be no way to if we wanted to be deceptive and try to do it later, it wouldn't happen.
Sir, with all due respect, I'm not suggesting that your firm would do that, but it's easy, very, very easy for me to imagine somebody taking twinkle lights later on and adding them so they have light in the evening. I mean, I don't want to belabor the conversation. It's already almost 9:30. I'm go ahead with the resolution however you want. I'm not going to support it because I think it's inappropriate. It's a lovely design, it's just inappropriate for this building in that location.
I agree.
All right, so should I take the vote, Kay?
Yeah.
So Susan, you're a no?
Yeah.
Josh? Are you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here. I'm a no.
Peter?
Yes.
Paige?
No.
Madge?
No.
Kay?
Yes.
And I'm a no. So are there any so the vote is 2, 5, 0, 0.
5
Are
to
there
0.
any non-committee board members? Is Ira still here?
No, he left.
Okay, so the resolution fails by a vote of 2, 5, 0, 0. We do not approve.
I'm sorry, is it 5 or 4? Is it 5?
5.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And this is the one page that we'll have to work on before the 15th, unless you're going to change your date at LPC.
I think we were planning to change it to get the full board. So.
Oh, that's right. And you said you'd write to Michelle Booker and tell her the new date.
And that's what you're advising, is that we wait for the full board?
Yes,
I mean, it's up. Yeah.
It's unlikely to change the complexion of the vote, though.
I'm sorry, Paige, I didn't hear you.
We can't promise that the vote would change just because it's before the full board.
This is true.
So I understand. I have two resolutions that need to be done ASAP. 333 Central Park West, and actually this is the only one, right?
This is the only one. That's right, Paige, because I made the mistake before.
No, that's fine. We can do that. We can do that. All right.
So we could go, I mean, it's up to you. We could go with just a committee vote. And then you could do, I mean, yeah, it really is up to you.
I'm sorry, what does that mean? That you're encouraging someone to not wait for the full board?
Not encouraging, we just, given that it's a resolution to not approve,
well,
I don't know if they, you know, if,
I just wonder your committee and your procedure. So
it's better for us if we to have the full board vote. That's our normal way. The other is an exception to the rule.
I would be in favor of the full board voting on this, however they vote, like Paige says.
Yes.
But the more input we have from our community through our community board,
sure,
the better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be one of 5 people that made the decision for the community.
Mm-hmm.
One question also, sorry, Susan, have you talked to the neighbors in the adjacent buildings? Or just the thus far, it's a commission for the current residents?
I and my firm, we have not.
Okay.
Whether the board has, I don't know. I don't know the board's relationship to the other board members in the
Gotcha.
neighborhood.
All right, I'm just curious, because it may impact the numbers of people who may be coming out for the full board meeting.
I see.
You need to notify the immediate neighbors that this is happening.
Gotcha.
Was it properly noticed? Was it posted?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, okay.
Yeah, but it's a pandemic and people are away after Memorial Day, so.
Yeah, at some point we should address that and think about whether it's, I mean, I walk the streets, there's a lot of people out, so it may be time to go back to our original posting requirement.
I think so.
Good point.
I think it's only fair for the neighbors.
Yes.
I hope that by respecting that that the full committee review it, we're not putting ourselves in a situation where we're going to be under additional scrutiny or extreme scrutiny, which might raise other issues that are not relevant to what we're doing here. You know? It's the pergola. You know? Did I make that clear? Maybe I didn't.
Well, the resolution will go as is to the full board. Anything that's not covered by this resolution,
right? But if we're going out,
will not be appropriate for discussion.
I'm just concerned that we're flagging something. I just wouldn't want to flag this as something that is of a concern.
I'd like to address this as chair of the bylaws task force. Our proper procedure, I know the prior chairs of the preservation committee worked really, really hard to build up this relationship with LPC. Our proper procedure is that the committees review these things and then it goes to full board for approval or disapproval, either way, but that it's required to go to the full board. It's not a matter of being concerned about flagging other issues. It needs to go to the full board.
Okay, no, I just thought I understood that the neighbors should be notified and it just, I mean, people are being, we're going through due process here.
That is
our normal procedure is to require posting, quite extensive posting around the immediate vicinity of wherever the project is. We just have suspended that. We suspended it a year and more ago because it was, for one thing, it was during the shutdown. I think it's past the time when we should have, but I mean, that doesn't affect you because we had not, before this meeting, changed our procedure. We would just, I would recommend that we, going forward for other applicants, we would require that.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
All right, I guess we can, anybody have any new business to bring up?
No,
Yeah, let's,
Are we finished? Are we go now?
yeah, yes. sir.
Yes, yes, thank you so much.
Thank
And I
you very
thank
much.
all of you though for staying so late and being so patient. With
Thank
us
you for staying so
Thank
late.
you for your patience.
all the time.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody have any other thing to bring up?
Well, I mean, I'd just like to make it official that we change our request to change the policy if it's within our recommend. I don't know what, like who finally said don't post anymore, but I think it's past time when we should be requiring posting. It's the business of the neighbors in the neighborhood
Yeah,
to know about these things.
I agree.
And particularly this one, people should know, because I would imagine that this isn't the first time people have thought about putting something on a roof overlooking Central Park West. It's been defeated many, many times before.
Mhm.
And I think this sets a very slippery slope and precedent. And their unwillingness to change it so that you can preserve the facade appearance distresses me.
And that they have only 40 apartments and they're worrying about making this very large change that's going to affect so many other people, surprisingly.
I know, I agree.
Incredible.
Well done, guys. All right, I'm gonna start work on this on Saturday.
Appreciate
So
it.
if you have any questions or whatever, I'm gonna try to start turning them to you and Kay, Michelle and Kay. And then you can send them out to the committee just to proof, okay?
All right.
So that we get a rolling list of them, because next week is kind of busy for me.
Thank you. Thank
My
you,
pleasure.
everybody.
One other
Miranda,
thing.
thanks for hanging in. Susan?
Let me just ask, do we still need to do a rush thing if they're going to change recalendar?
I think we should write the resolution.
Okay, I mean, no harm done. I mean,
Yeah,
if they
no,
able to do it.
that's
So we
right.
get it out there.
Yeah.
Just in case.
If they don't change the date with LPC, then we're not in a good position without a resolution.
I'm sorry, I thought I heard that they agreed to change it.
Yes, they did agree, but
So that should be in the resolution.
yes,
This was calendared, but that they agreed, certainly in the meeting minutes, that they agreed to
Postpone.
to date. Yeah, absolutely. I was not, I was very clear on that. I just was going to say that it was unfortunate that Michelle Booker had a hard time getting on early, and I would suggest that perhaps be a nice thing to next month to have the pre-meeting the way we were going to tonight, so that all the committee members could be there and could talk to Michelle and share something. I think it's a great team building exercise for the various committees. So I don't know if Michelle and Kay, if you want to do that and take it up with Michelle.
terrific. Thank you. Okay, everybody, I guess we're finished for the evening. Thank you very much.
okay.
Good night.
Sorry you got all the materials so late. Somehow I was eliminated from a list, but thank you for all your good work. And have a good evening.
One request, when Jesse sends these out, can't you put the address on each one so when it comes up in the email, you don't have to go search through 5 things to find out which one you're looking for all the time?
All right, we'll talk about that.
Okay, thank you.
Usually does, right?
Yeah, thank
We
you.
make it much easier.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Good night.